about police violence in America. Is it out of control? My guests are Pastor Tulis, Pastor Smart, Paulette Simpson Gibson, the NAACP, SCLC, the National Action Network. Now, we have seen within the last 24 hours two things. Let's talk about Ferguson, Missouri for a second. Michael Brown. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it. It was predictable as the sun rising in the Sahara in July. As soon as it broke, I said, watch what's going to happen. They're going to start demonizing him. They're going to find that he was a thug, he was a gangbanger, he was this, he was a robber, they're going to drag up everything back to when he was in the womb. That's another tactic that is so old, that's part of the profiling. Everybody's got a history. And the same with Ezell Ford. No one has ever said that anyone is an angel or a saint. But that's not the point. Why do you think that just instinctively the same playbook is used all the time? Not only after a young black male is gunned down or beaten or assaulted. Right away, they trash him. And we're not talking about right or wrong, whatever he did, but I'm talking about that technique that's used, as if one cancels out the other.
Because to me, it's setting up the same technique as to get the police off scot-free.
And they get it about Barry Montgomery, Paulette. I know it's about him. What's he doing in the park? Oh, is he smoking marijuana?
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, they want to come up with the same result. They're going to find that police justified. And so you turn the victim into the victimizer, and then at the end of the day, you feel you justified by saying not guilty for the police brutality and brutalization of these victims. But we have to, as a people, understand, too, institutional racism is real. And the justice system is just us, and it's justice. It's time for us to realize we want part of this justice system, too. We have leaders of African-American descent in the Attorney General office. At the helm, District Attorney in L.A. looks like us. Then why are we getting justice now? Prosecute some of these police like we prosecute some politicians for where they live. Who cares about that? We care about our kids down in the street. We want justice from our political officials, too, that we put in office.
Go ahead, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor. One of the things, artists, sensu, and all types of things, when you find yourself in a situation with can I say it this way, with your pants down, you have to discredit. Okay, they have to discredit the person that got them there. So they all, now Michael Brown, they got to discredit him because they're guilty. So flip it and make the other person guilty so that you can go be justified, as my sister said, for the action, the illegal action you did. What we have to do, we have to continue on our course. The president today needs to speak again. All those people need to be back in the street so that you do not get this lack of, the morale, not the morale, but the movement dying. No, they're not. They are guilty for shooting an innocent black boy who was on his way to college, just graduated from high school, already on top of the negative statistics that most of our boys are dealing with. He was a high school graduate.
So, Reverend Tulis, is this a distraction, a deliberate distraction when they bring these things up? Again, trying to separate the two and say, well, he's a criminal, he deserves. Almost the message is, he got what he deserved.
It's an immediate distraction to the general public, but we in our community, we recognize that these are tactics that are used constantly, be it Marlene Pinnock and the mental challenges she had, be it Ezell Ford or whatever it might have been. The reality is we must recognize as a community that our lives matter. Life matters, regardless of whatever affiliations they've had in their lives. The reality, that does not matter. What matters is that there's a young black young man that has been killed. And when we look at Ferguson is a town of, I believe, a population of 80% is African American. When you have 80% African American and you only got 3 African American police officers in that whole department, there's something wrong with that. And this is a city that has a history of racial and police abuse to the community. And the reality is it does not matter regardless. Pull up whatever social media. Pull up social media about me. Times I'm having a good time. Label me as whatever it might be. But the reality is we must remain vigilant of the issue. The issue is there's a life that's down, and it's up to us as a community to continue to rally.